Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, NSR Azure Cloud. In today's session, I'll be discussing about what a data frame is and how it's created in our Azure Data Bricks. Okay. All right. So this is the workspace which we have created earlier, right? ADB NSR Azure Cloud Workspace. So if you just click on this launch workspace, this particular notebook will be created, and this particular thing would be created. Okay, this is nothing but the dashboard. So here we'll have to just go to this particular workspace, and under that particular workspace, right, I have created a notebook already. So that notebook I'll try to explain to you today. Okay, so let's click on this notebook called as data frame in PySpark. Basically, what is a PySpark? PySpark is nothing but a Python with Spark. Okay, PySpark is nothing but Python with Spark. So here, what exactly is happening is within this PySpark, it is the Python API which is written in Python. Okay, this is nothing but it's a Python API which is written in Python, and this is basically used to support Apache Spark. Okay, so Apache Spark, in which language is this Apache Spark written? It is written in Scala. Okay, it is written in Scala, and it can be integrated with Python, Scala, Java, R, SQL languages. So these are the different languages wherein this Python can be integrated with. Okay, it can be, this Apache Spark is written in Scala, and it can be integrated with different languages like Python, Scala, Java, R, SQL. These are the different kinds of languages. Okay, what is a Spark? Spark is basically an analytical engine which is used to work with huge amounts of data sets. Okay, this is basically an analytical engine which is used to process on large amounts of data sets. Okay, all right, PySpark is nothing but it's an API, Python API, which is written in Python to support Apache Spark. All right. So in today's session, I'll be discussing about this data frames. Okay, so what is a data frame? And even before going to that particular data frame, right? In order to write any particular command, okay, and let me just switch this cluster on, start cluster. So these clusters we have created in the previous session, right? NSR Azure Cloud Structure cluster. If you haven't watched this creation of cluster, please watch my earlier video in this particular playlist. Okay. All right. So this data frames in PySpark, and there are two different ways of how to create this data frames. Okay. I'll show you two different ways or methods. Okay, in which this particular data frames can be created. All right, even before getting to know how to create this particular data frame, I'll tell you what a data frame is. Okay, so basically a data frame is nothing but it's a distributed collection of data which is organized in named columns. Okay, so basically data frame is nothing but it's a distributed collection of data which is organized in named columns. Okay, so you can even correlate this data frame with a relational database table. All right, you can correlate this data frame with a relational database table. So what happens in a relational database table? Database table will have rows and columns, right? So similarly, you can correlate this data frame with the data which is organized in the columns. Okay, this is nothing but the data which is organized in columns. All right, so that is what this data frame is all about. All right, so this data frame can be constructed in two ways. So in today's session, I'll be discussing those two ways, two methods. Okay, and along with that, data frames can be also constructed from a wide array of sources such as structured data files, tables in Hives, external databases, and existing RDDs. So from these different things, right, we'll be able to construct data frames. Okay, data frames can also be constructed from different kinds of sources like structured data files, tables which are present in Hives, external databases, or existing RDDs. Existing RDDs are nothing but RDD is nothing but it's a resilient distributed data which I'll be discussing in the next sessions. Okay, so for now, just remember that the data frame can be constructed from multiple sources such as files, tables, databases, or existing RDDs. RDDs are also nothing but these are also similar to data frames. All right. So PySpark, okay, the main thing which we have in this PySpark is PySpark databases, right? These are distributed in the cluster. Okay, these PySpark data frames are distributed inside a cluster. And basically this is something like, the data frames here are stored in different machines within a cluster. Okay, within a single cluster, the data frames would be stored in multiple machines. Okay, one cluster would be there within a single cluster, and the data frames would be stored in different machines. And that is one thing. And the other thing, operations will be there, right? The operations which are present inside this PySpark, those will be executed in parallel. Okay, in what all are the different kinds of machines we have, right? In all those machines, the operations will be executed parallelly. So that is what happens in our PySpark data frame. So here the data frames are distributed in the cluster, and if we have different kinds of operations, right, those all operations will be executed in parallel on different machines, on all machines. Okay, whereas this is different from pandas data frames. Okay, we have something called as pandas data frames. In pandas data frames, what happens is we'll be storing and operating on a single machine. Okay, the storing and operating will be happened on a single machine, unlike our PySpark data frame. Okay, just remember that. All right. So now I'll tell you how to create this particular method. Okay, particular data frames. So even before that, so if you can see here, I have written this in this bold, right? How did I achieve that? So in order to do that, right, just click on this open any particular cell. Okay, open any particular cell, and then type percentile MD. Okay, percentile MD, and whatever data you want to write, right, whatever data you want to be displayed, just write that data inside this hash. Okay, specify two hashes and give the data. So once you just execute it, right, shift enter, you'll be able to see this. So in order to achieve that, what should you do? You should just give percentile MD, and the data which you want, you just write that. But it should be present, start with within this particular hash, two hashes. Okay, all right. So after that is done, I've just explained you what a data frame is. So now you are aware of what a data frame is. Okay, data frame is nothing but within a relational database table, the data would be organized in the columns. Okay, all right. So how do we create a data frame? So basically this is the syntax of, this is one of the syntax of how this data frame is created. Okay, so here we are giving something called as data, and here columns. Okay, data and columns. In this data, I am trying to, pass different values. This is nothing but the data. Okay, so I have different technologies here. Different technologies are there: SQL, Azure, ADF, Java, ADB. So these all are the different technologies, and these all are the different tools which are being used. Okay, technologies, these are the tools, and this is nothing but the codes. C1 to C5 are nothing but codes. And remember one thing, whenever you're trying to write hard code any value, right, you should make sure that it should be enclosed within double quotes. Since it is a string, right, you should enclose it within double quotes. Okay, and since you are giving multiple values, right, make sure that you are passing it inside an array. Okay, array is nothing but open and closed square brackets. Okay, and one more thing, since you are giving multiple rows, right, multiple records, so you'll have to separate it with a comma. So that is what I'm doing here. All right, so I have given multiple records. These are nothing but, each one is a record. Okay, these are nothing but a different records, and inside that record, how did I segregate it? I've segregated it using a comma, and then I have enclosed it. Since these all are strings, I've enclosed them within double quotes, and this is the start and end of that particular data frame. Okay, so this is nothing but data frame. So I'm just giving the data here, and here I'm passing the column names. Okay, for these particular data, for this particular data, these are the columns. So C1 comes under codes, SQL comes under technologies, and database comes under tools. Okay, similarly all these 5 records. Okay, now how do I create this particular data frame? There is a syntax for it. What is the syntax? This is the syntax: spark dot create data frame. Okay, so remember this: spark dot create data frame. So in Spark, right, whatever, how much ever length might the particular word be, so for the first word it would be the first case would be small, and from the second word, right, the starting letter would be, alphabet would be capital. Okay, and D in data and F in frame should be capitals, and the rest all will be small. Okay, so the syntax is spark dot create data frame. So this is how you are creating a data frame, and you are passing parameters. What are those two parameters? Those two parameters are data and columns. Okay, data. If you click on this particular data, it will go here. and it will get the data which is present inside this particular thing. Okay, so this data will be present inside this data. So we are trying to refer entire data in a single variable called as data. Okay, and one more thing, columns. What is columns? Columns is nothing but it will go here and it will get this data. So inside data will be having this details and inside column will be having these details. Okay, so we are trying to pass the data and column in a single step called as spark.create data frame, and this is the syntax of how we create a spark data frame. Okay, and what are you doing? You're just trying to assign this particular thing to a data frame. So here df is there, right? That is what a data frame is. Okay, you can just give any name here. I have just given data frame so for simplicity purpose so that you can understand, right? So you can give any kind of variable here, any kind of name you can give here. So if you want to display, right, so basically how do you display this? You will be displaying it using display of that particular data frame. Okay, whatever name you want you can give here, and then display of that particular data frame. Okay, so here what happens, it will come here, display of data frame. Okay, what is this data frame? It will go here, and then what you're trying to do, spark.create data frame, and it will get the data from this particular variable and columns from this particular variable. So let me try to execute it. Shift enter. It is waiting to run. It is running the command. Okay, so now this is what it will display. Okay, so what do I have? I have three different columns called as course, technology, and tools, and inside that what is the data present? I have this data. So that is what I was trying to achieve. Okay, so the data frame is nothing but you can correlate it with a relational database table wherein within the columns the data would be organized. Okay, we are trying to organize the data within the columns, right? So that is what we are trying to do here. So this is one method of doing. Okay, and one more thing, if you can see here, by default everything is string, every data type is string. Okay, so you are not able to explicitly change it to integer or boolean or whatever. Okay, by default it is string because we haven't specified it explicitly, right? So that is why by default it is in string format. Let me show you the other format called as this one. Okay, this is the other method wherein we are explicitly giving the string type. Okay, let me come from the beginning. So here what are we giving? We are just trying to give some, we are just passing some data here. Okay, this is some kind of data wherein I'm along with that course, technology, tool, and along with that I'm also trying to send the department. Okay, so this 123 is nothing but this department number. Okay, so all this data I am capturing inside data too. Okay, and I'm trying to create a structure. Okay, in the previous one I haven't created the structure. By default it was string. Okay, default is string, so it will take string for each and every column which you have specified. So if you want to explicitly specify the data type, right, at that point of time you will be making use of this particular schema. Okay, schema is nothing but columns. Schema is nothing but columns. So you will be defining your particular structure. So this is the syntax of it. Structure type, it will open and close with a parenthesis, and after that array would be there. Array is nothing but open and closed square brackets, and inside that you will be writing this struct field is there, right? So this is the syntax. So struct field, inside the struct field you will be giving your particular column name, whatever you want. That column name you will be specifying inside double quotes, and after that you will be able to choose the data type. So here these first three are strings, so I've just given it as string type, and the last one is integer because department number will hold integer values, right? So department number is integer type, and by default I'm just giving it as true. Okay, so what are these backslashes, you might be wondering. So if you want to enter any kind of data in the new line, in the next line, right, then you'll be giving this, or else you can just delete this one and continue the same in a single line. So it will not be, it will not be good to look for the eyes, right? So that's why I've just given this particular backslash, so that at one time we'll be able to see what all are the different things are present, right, in a single view. All right, so I'm here, what am I doing? I'm trying to explicitly give the data type. Okay, here the first three are strings and the last one is integer type. So that is what I'm doing. All right, so this is similar like we have created in the beginning, right? Spark dot create data frame, And here what are we there, what did we do? We just gave data comma columns. Here what are we giving? Data is equal to data 2. This data 2, it will go here and it will get the data present inside this data 2. Okay, and after that it will go to the schema. What does the schema hold? This schema holds schema 2. Okay, it will go to the schema 2 and it will get the structure and the columns. Okay, it will basically get the schema. This data will get the data which is present, and the schema will fetch you the schema. Okay, schema of that particular data frame. And this entire thing I'm trying to capture in a single data frame called as df1. You can name this as anything, so I'm just using it as df1 and I'm trying to display that display of that particular df1. So what will this give me? It will give me this particular data and schema. Okay, let me just execute it and show it. So this is what I'm getting. Okay, course, technologies, tool and department number, and within these columns this is the data which is organized. Okay, so this is how we'll be achieving, we'll be creating different data frames. And one more difference I want to show is if you give this display of df, right, then it will be displayed in this particular table kind of format. Okay, that particular data frame would be displayed in the format of table. It will be organized properly, as in a table will have different, rows and columns, and properly it will be aligned, right? So in that particular format it will be displayed. Whereas you can also use that particular data frame. So here display of data frame you are giving, right? So instead of giving that, you can even give like this df dot show. Okay, this is another way of displaying a particular data frame. Okay, so here df dot show will result like this. Okay, this is how it will be displayed. So than this, look and feel would be good for this. So mostly people will be preferring this, but there are two different kinds of options, like to display your particular data frame you can use any of this. Okay, so this is how it looks like. It will be row, like separated, properly separated, and aligned, properly aligned here. And here we don't have such kind of alignment, but we'll just have this different kinds of columns which we have, and what is the data present. Okay, so this is how these two data frames could be displayed in two different formats. All right, I hope today's session is clear for you. In next session, I'll try to cover more topics on our Azure Data Bricks. Till then, stay tuned to my channel and please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Thank you guys. Have a good day.